Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
The time is 6:06, and you're listening to O'Connor and Company. It's Thursday morning, the 19th day of September. We got early voting starting tomorrow in Virginia for this all-important 2024 election. And to that end, joining us tomorrow will be Governor Glenn Youngkin. Coming up on this program at 6:35, Katie Gorka from Fairfax County Republican Party will join us. At 7:05, Mary Catherine Ham. 8:05, KT McFarland. And then at 8:35, Matt Walsh. He's in D.C., for some events surrounding his brand new movie, Am I Racist? We got all that coming up, plus Mercedes Schlapp all morning long. Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning, Larry. It's great to have you back.
Thank you. It is really great to be back and thrilled to hit the ground running here. And boy, what a sprint this is going to be between now and Election Day. And I want to reiterate, coming off our conversation with Chris DeGaulle, if you look at the battleground states right now, and there's a really, really handy chart. You know what? I'm going to put it out on my social media here on X and across the board. A chart that was put together at Real Clear Politics showing the state of this race based on the battleground polls, where Trump is right now compared to where he was at the same time in 2020 and the same time in 2016. And you'll see two very important notes. The first is how at this time in those two races, it looked like Biden and Hillary were going to beat Trump by like 5, 6, 7 points in all of those battleground states. Right. And, of course, it ended up being less than 1 percentage point. So, number one, you'll see that Trump voters were woefully underrepresented in the polls. But the other difference you'll see is this time around, right now, all of those polls show Trump within 1 percentage point right now. So he is in a much better position based on these polls.
I do feel the momentum is shifting towards Donald Trump. Yeah. I think that since Kamala Harris did not get that post-debate bump.
Yeah, where's the big she won the debate. She cleaned his clock. She oh my God. Where's the bump?
Yeah, where's the bump? Yeah, so I think that fell flat, and every time that woman opens her mouth she's unscripted, for crying out loud, I mean, she's unbearable. Yep. She's unrelatable. There's no connecting there. That is as opposed to Donald Trump.
Yes, and that was evidenced perfectly yesterday because Donald Trump is making so many savvy media choices right now, which is understandable because he has lived in this electronic media world his entire adult career. I mentioned yesterday how smart I thought it was that he did, instead of a rally in Flint, Michigan, he did this town hall where Sarah Huckabee Sanders engaged with him and he engaged with voters directly. He's, I think, much more effective communicating directly with another individual or with voters than when he's just standing at a podium. He's great at rallies, don't get me wrong, but at convincing people who might be on the fence, he's going to do a better job by actually engaging and having a back and forth. And then last night, he took to Fox News, not on Sean Hannity, not on Laura Ingraham, not on Jesse Waters, but he sat on the number one late-night comedy show on television, Gutfeld, and listened to the crowd's reaction when he was announced.
World champion Tyrants! He loves Diet Coke, but hates the woke. Choosing this insanity over Sean Hannity. Let's crank it up to 11 for President 45 and 47. The man who finally made that interesting at 6'2", fighting out of the red corner from Queens, New York, the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
I mean, it was insanity on Gutfeld. It always is. But, boy, what a scene. And we're going to play some clips of it, but quickly, Mercedes, especially coming from the world of communications and specifically in the Trump campaign 4 years ago in the Trump White House before that. I think this is such a smart move because it shows Trump in his best, I think, and in a really good element.
This goes back to Kamala being unscripted and very uncomfortable. And, you know, she says like the strangest comments you can ever imagine that people cannot understand, right. And not even going specific into her policies. Yet Donald Trump can walk into a room and he feels so comfortable when he's unscripted. Yeah. It is truly when you get to see Donald Trump as who he is. And he's got a great sense of humor. I mean, even though the mere fact that they've tried to kill him twice, okay, yes, for what we know, and yet he goes out there, puts a smile on his face, is focused on, the fight, and just is continuing to move on, which I think is just remarkable.
Funny you should mention that, because here we are, 3 days after another assassination attempt, and it happened while Trump was playing golf at his golf club, and of course Gutfeld wanted to make fun of it and have fun, and Trump was having fun with it.
So, Mr. P, how's your golf game?
Well, haven't been thinking about it too much lately. I always said golf is a very dangerous game.
It really is. It really is, especially if they're playing with you.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a mean joke?
Pretty sad.
Well, and this is a great example of this is unscripted. You don't know where it's going to go. Kamala Harris can't engage like this. Even if she tries, she comes across as disingenuous. Trump comes across as just a guy.
Yeah, and look, it's relatability, it's likability, and the fact is that you've actually seen in these Gallup polls, Larry, that his unfavorables have gone down. Harris's unfavorables have actually gone up. In fact, among independents, I think they're up like 60% or some crazy number that view Kamala Harris as unfavorable. And look, it's not everything that makes up an election, but think about how much they've demonized this guy, how much they've tried to destroy Donald Trump.
Exactly. She's had
and
nothing
yet
but...
his numbers now in the Gallup poll, his favorables are higher than they were in 2016.
That's right. After everything they've thrown at him, all the lawsuits, all the convictions, all the felonies, all of this, all of that, he's an existential threat. You're 100% right. A little bit more from
if they had told you that the shooter was there, would you have tried to take him out with your 3-wood?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so, if I knew. Actually, the Secret Service did a great job. They saw the barrel of a gun, big gun.
Yeah.
And it came out through bushes. And how many people would see that? First, he really was very exceptional to have done it. And we've been going through a lot of it. We're getting very good at it, but I don't want to say that too loudly because we don't want to bring any jinxes along, Tyrus. Right? But it's.
Then listen to this. This is a great example of Trump being able to shift on the fly, being unscripted, as you mentioned, but also being able to deliver a message. Even if Gutfeld asked him about this phone call from Joe Biden right after the assassination attempt, and listen to how Trump maneuvers this and delivers a really interesting message, and a good message, I think, that humanizes him, which is necessary right now, sadly, because of what he's had to deal with.
So Kamala Harris and the president, Joe Biden, if he's still president, we don't know. They called you after you got shot at and to wish you well, to say all these nice things.
They did.
But they're the same people that moments before say you're a threat to democracy, an existential threat, worse than Hitler. Does that mean that everything they say is full of
Well, both of the shooters, one is dead and the other one is in prison. And it was really great work, again, by Secret Service. And a woman who saw somebody running and running for the car because he was caught, and the Secret Service agent started shooting at him, didn't do any talking, said just, that's a barrel of a gun, started shooting, which was amazing. That he saw it, and then he started shooting. And so this man is running to the car, and a woman, of course, woman's always a woman, right?
We just found out, yeah.
No, but think about that. How smart. Who would do this? She sees somebody running, and she didn't like the way he looked. He looked very suspicious, and followed him and took the car, parked it right behind his, and started taking pictures of the license plate. Who would do that?
A Karen.
And then sent.
Isn't that great? This storytelling is great here because he makes this about an individual, a woman, just an everyday citizen. It's not about him. It's not about President Biden or Kamala Harris. I don't know if he planned that or if that's just spontaneous. Hold that thought. I want to hear some insight because you have this insight. A little bit more on this and more great storytelling. He told a story about his one interaction with Governor Tim Walz that's just hilarious. We'll share that with you in a moment, too. First, though, 6:15. WMAL traffic and weather every 10 minutes. First on the... And we're continuing now talking about Donald Trump last night on Gutfeld. Really great stuff. And I just mentioned this question about the assassination attempt on Sunday. He immediately pivoted and told this really cool story about this woman, a person at the rally, who saw this suspicious person running, took a picture of the license plate. That led to his capture. It's great storytelling, and again, makes it about the individual American and not about, him or Biden. This is something that he's good at.
There, it's interesting because I do feel like there's been a bit of a shift in the president. He's more reflective than I've seen him. And, where he's also, I remember during the convention, just Yeah, and he's talked about this in his rallies about God being on his side.
Yeah,
and
greater power.
And actually at the rally, at that Long Island rally, there was a sweet boy named Liam who has a brain disorder. And the mom had posted this, video of Liam getting a letter from the president for his birthday. Well, guess what? Backstage before the rally, there's Liam with the parents. And here comes Donald Trump with a big box of goodies for Liam for his birthday. And it was like the sweetest moment. And that is something that I've been able to see time and time again with this president, when he was president and obviously as a candidate, how he has this connection with people. Like, he loves the American people, and he wants our enemies and our adversaries to not, out and protect us from the craziness that we're seeing. And I just think, like, now more than ever, we need a president that's going to protect Americans. And that's kind of where we are right now. That's the battle.
Speaking of great storytelling, I want you to listen to this. He talked about his when he was president, Tim Walz was the governor of Minnesota, and they had one interaction. It was during the Black Lives Matter riots that Tim Walz, of course, allowed to just burn in Minneapolis. Well, apparently there was a little bit of a backlash, and some citizens of Minnesota who felt maybe the governor should do something about the riots, they protested outside his mansion. Listen.
It is funny. Waltz is a strange dude.
Oh, he's strange.
He is strange. Him and I are the same age. How does he look so much younger?
No, he's a strange guy.
Strange.
He called up years ago. I was in the White House, and he said, my house is being surrounded by people with American flags. I said, is that a good thing or a bad thing? He said, I think they're going to attack me. This was during the riots and everything else. They were MAGA people. They like the American flag, all right? And they also had Trump. And I said, how do you know? There were about 15,000. He said, could you put out a word like that I'm your friend? I don't even know him, but that's the only time I ever spoke to him. And if you look back long ago, tweets, before truth, tweets, long ago, I put out a statement. He's a good man, the governor. He's on our side. I didn't know him, but I didn't want him to get hurt. And everybody put down their flags and they left. Yes. He said it was a miracle. He said it was a miracle. I didn't want him to get hurt.
Scared by the American flag.
They say he's not a nice guy. I would have had fun with that. It's called a barbecue. Go outside.
He remembers it, actually. He was a little bit nervous about things. They had one guard. He said, we have one guard at the door. It was the mansion for the state. Then he said, we have one guard at the door, and you have 15,000 people out there. And I'm a little bit, I don't know, they look violent. I said, are they carrying the American flag? They're not going to be violent.
Yes.
But I put out a statement, and they just went back. It was sort of a beautiful thing in a lot of ways.
I love that story on so many levels, and not least of which, that Tim Walz is so concerned about the violence, not burning down the city of Minneapolis and the looting and the arson and the mayhem. No, he's worried about all of the people around the mansion waving the American flag, and he called Trump for help.
Yeah, well, especially because Walz supported all these Black Lives Matter protests, and basically while his city was burning down. I mean, it's just outrageous. I do have to say, Tim Walz, is a very odd character. Like, it is so strange how, and he's so extreme in his policies. I mean, that's really the things you have to be concerned about.
Absolutely. All right, one other great story from yesterday on Gutfeld. There's a lot here, and you should watch the whole thing. But he was asked about aliens. Apparently, Trump said, well, you'll hear this. He got asked about aliens at Area 51, and I want you to hear this.
Can I please ask a question, just because I'm never going to be allowed in a room with the president again?
Sure.
Are there aliens at Area 51?
I'll tell you, it's a funny thing, because I think that might be a question that I get more than any question. It is the craziest thing. So we have that so-called area. They consider it like a sacred area. Mm-hmm. And I will say this. I don't think I'm a believer, but I've interviewed pilots that look, I like Tom Cruise, but better than Tom Cruise. The blonde crew cuts, the whole, and this, yes, sir. And they were in the Oval Office, 3 or 4 pilots. These are not people that make up stories. They said, all I know, sir, is there was a round object that was going 4 times faster than my F-22, which is a very fast plane. And it wasn't, it shouldn't have been. It was round, sir. They have seen, 4 or 5 guys I've interviewed, solid people, great pilots for the U.S. Air Force, etc. They've seen things that they cannot explain.
Follow-up question.
Also a maybe.
Follow-up question, Mr. President. Follow-up. If in fact there are aliens, would you be willing to put tariffs on them to help us with the economy? They're not just going to fly down in here.
All right. We'll try to share with you more from Donald Trump last night on Gutfeld. It's good stuff. And again, honestly, an important part of this campaign in these final days to reach new voters and to show that, he's very different than Kamala Harris.
Right. And remember, for Fox, that it's the base, really. So, I mean, it's partly the base. But
I would say Gutfeld's audience stretches beyond just the base there, I think.
Yeah, no, yes. But I would say center right. I was going to say it's
Sure.
the base, but center right. Mm-hmm. People who might have not been enthusiastic about Trump for quite some time. And I think that I think it was brilliant. I think it really brought this almost human and real side to Donald Trump. Sometimes you don't get that in the interviews when they're all trying to pounce on him and just try to destroy him. So I think this was a really smart move to have him just be himself in a really kind of positive, fun setting.
624.
Now,
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
6:37. Thanks for tuning in here on an epic Thursday morning. Tomorrow's going to be an epic Friday, by the way. The governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, will be here to launch the first day of early voting in the Old Dominion. Also coming up today at 7:05, we'll speak with our buddy Mary Catherine Ham. At 8:05, our buddy KT McFarland. And then at 8:35, everybody's buddy, Matt Walsh. He's in town with the premiere of his new movie that's got everybody talking, Am I Racist? That's all coming up. And, of course, she's also everybody's buddy. Everyone loves Mercedes Schlapp. Good morning, Mercedes.
I have a couple of reporters at the Washington Post that hate me, so I don't really know if you think that everybody
funny,
loves
that's
me.
why we love you.
Yes, that's right.
Joining us right now, I've been calling her this all morning, and I'll continue to do it right to her face. She's the smartest, most beautiful, and frankly, funniest Gorka I've ever met. She is Katie Gorka, the Republican chairwoman in Fairfax County. Yeah, that's right. Tell them I said that, Katie. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Larry. Hi, Mercedes. Great to be with you guys.
Listen, I'm hearing raves about you, Katie, and what you've already been able to do to really energize the Republican Party in Fairfax County. I know that all the jokes are there. Where do you meet? In a phone booth? But you're actually really, really leading what it has been, I think, up until now, sort of a disenfranchised group of voters in Fairfax County, people who dare to be Republican. So here we are the day before early voting. What are you focusing on, and how can you assure voters in Fairfax County that Republicans will be represented well, not just in the voting process, but also in the ballot tabulation process?
I got to tell you, we've had some major wins this week, so I'm super excited about this. Just yesterday, the Virginia DMV removed from their website where you go to apply for an ID privilege card, okay? This is only for non-citizens, and they had the language on there that said you can also use this form to register to vote.
Wait,
believe that or
wait,
not.
hold on. This is a form that's exclusive for non-citizens. That the only people seeing this thing are non-citizens, and they still included information about registering to vote. Good Lord.
And I know, it's incredible. That just got taken down yesterday. Super excited about that. And another big win, on Monday, the Fairfax Board of Elections sent a referral to the governor, the Commonwealth's attorney, and the Attorney General, a list. They are sending a long list of names of individuals who have illegally registered to vote, and they have sent those for referral for prosecution.
Oh, that's great.
Katie, I got to ask you, I think one of the big areas that I know you're focused on, and I have the great honor of being a supportive role in that, is reaching out to the Hispanic voter, which is so critical in Virginia. How do you think we can bring the Hispanic voter over to the Republican Party as you're continuing to expand the coalition?
Well, so that's a great question. I was out at the K-Pasa Festival in Herndon on Saturday, and the reactions we got were so interesting and surprising. I'm telling you, I don't think we, as Republicans, have to bring Hispanics over. They are coming in droves. The ones who weren't already there. They are being hurt as much as anybody, if not more, by the destructive policies of the Democrats, not least of which here in Fairfax County, our Board of Supervisors is getting ready to impose a new meals tax. And that's going to affect especially low-income families who spend a bigger percentage of their income on food. And yet the Democrats just keep on with their tax and spend policies. And I'll tell you the other thing, a lot of Hispanics are not happy with this open border. A lot of people coming across, that's impacting their jobs, the ones who came here legally, who worked hard to be here. So, I think it's going to be a big win with the Hispanics coming over to the Republican side.
Yeah, that meal tax issue is huge. And I know that there was a big protest Tuesday outside the Board of Supervisors' office of restaurant owners. And you talk about the Hispanic community. A lot of those restaurant jobs that will be impacted by this, 6% tax on all meals in Fairfax County, the people who will lose their jobs will be people from the Hispanic community. They're also worried about our school system, though, and I know the focus right now this election cycle doesn't include a school board election, but I'd love, Katie, for you to talk about that, about how we could actually make some inroads and fix the schools and get a lot of people over to vote. That's a nonpartisan election, the school board, but voters can't be happy about the direction of the curriculum in Fairfax.
No, and I would say there's two big issues there. One is safety, especially with schools with a large Hispanic population, big concerns from gangs coming in, gang members coming in and being in the schools. But the other big story is 6 of our high schools in Fairfax County are now at risk of losing accreditation because they've had such an influx of non-English speakers that they're not able to pass the required test scores to be accredited. Huge dropout rates, huge non-attendance rates, all the things that affect your accreditation.
Well, that's a question of competence.
Everybody.
The school board had to know that was coming. They did know it was coming, and if they're not prepared, they're ill-prepared, and now they're going to lose accreditation. That's because they're just incompetent, and they're focusing on other things, like letting boys into girls' bathrooms. Katie, real fast, if there are people in Fairfax County who want to join the effort between all through early voting and everything, what do you need right now? What does the Republican Party of Fairfax County need in terms of volunteers that can actually help make a difference in this election?
Oh, great question. So most important thing is we want more Republicans to volunteer to be election officers. That's how you best make sure that these elections are free and fair. And you can go to the Fairfax elections, fairfaxcounty.gov to sign up to be an election officer, or come to the fairfaxgop.org website and volunteer to be a poll watcher.
Excellent.
Or, join us and be part of our effort.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie. Gorka, chairwoman of the Republican Party in Fairfax County. And tell Dr. G we said hi. We love you. We love your husband, too.
Will do.
It's 6:40.
WMAL, making sense of the headlines because common sense isn't so common. Download the WMAL app to stream us for free.
AOC, Alejandra Ocasio-Cortez.
She's a Latinx.
No está contenta.
Ay, Dios mío, ¿qué pasó, Larry?
Because there are a bunch of dead terrorists in Lebanon right now, and that makes her very, very sad. What are you laughing that I understood what you said?
That was really good. You didn't even have an accent. It was like not a gringo accent.
I appreciate that. Yeah,
why? What happened? What did she say? Why is she so upset? Is she crying
IDF,
again?
Or somebody. We don't know who did it. We'll never know for sure. Bibi Netanyahu was asked, was the IDF or the Mossad behind these exploding pagers that killed, hurt, maimed, and castrated a bunch of Israeli or Hezbollah terrorists? And Bibi Netanyahu said, well, you know what? I grew up as a middle-class person, and that was her answer.
I did see that. I loved it. It was a good meme. It was almost better than the cat memes, I have to be honest. Anyways.
Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez says that Israel's pager attack in Lebanon detonated thousands of handheld devices, seriously injuring and killing innocents. The attack clearly and unequivocally violates international humanitarian law and undermines U.S. efforts to protect. She's upset that the terrorists got hurt. Mercedes, this is hilarious to me. Has there ever been a more precision attack? If civilians got injured, yes, that's unfortunate. But what would she rather? A giant bomb dropping in a neighborhood? This is the most precision attack you'll ever see. It literally exploded in people's pockets.
We saw this as well in this targeted attack that Israel did against one of the Palestinian leaders in Iran.
Yes.
Right? It's like they got into the hotel room and took out the bad guy.
Oh, no, it wasn't even the hotel room. It was the guest room of the presidential palace.
Yes,
it was
you're
that
right.
good.
Right.
Yes.
Gosh. So Chris Plant 2 days ago puts out a video about these pagers and these explosions. I was literally like going, I don't even want to touch my phone. I don't know about you, but all of a sudden you're going, wow, that's insane. Like, who would have ever thought? You know what I mean?
Well, and then, of course, that attack happened on Tuesday. We talked about it yesterday on the program. And then later in the day yesterday, the very next day, walkie-talkie explosions across all of Lebanon, just to sort of let them know, hey, it's not just your pagers you got to worry about, guys. This, and again, when I say they,
well, how about this?
We'll never know who did this, of course.
Look, we still have hostages being held by Hamas.
Thank you.
Let us remember that Iran, this goes back to Iran being such a horrific enemy.
Right.
Where they fund Hezbollah, they fund Hamas. You have these hostages that are still being held. It's going to be the 1-year anniversary coming up soon. And then with Hezbollah, they continuously attack Israel from the north. I mean, this is... You're right. This is in the approach of a targeted attack. It was the right way to go.
Yep.
From Israel. I think Meghan McCain, she tweeted out, retaliating against terrorists is not against the law. Save this energy for the hostages, especially the infant baby still being held by Hamas, because I'm sure that is actually the war crimes.
Great
and she
point.
is right on that.
Coming up at 8:05, we'll talk to KT McFarland, but that is a brilliant point that Meghan made. AOC is up there getting all upset literally about terrorists who are being injured, and she has nothing to say about our own hostages. And, by the way, the over 1,000 people who on October 7th last year were destroyed. It's 6:52.